Ferrari CEO Benedetto Vigna has finally weighed in on the swirling rumours that team principal Frédéric Vasseur could be on his way out at the end of the season. Whispers of a potential shake-up at the top began making the rounds in recent weeks, stirred up by reports from segments of the Italian media, fueled by the fact that Vasseur's contract conveniently expires at the end of the year. Naturally, these rumours didn't sit well with the Dravel-born Frenchman, who made his return to the Ferrari pit wall at Silverstone after sitting out the Austrian Grand Prix the week prior. When asked about the speculation, Vasseur made his thoughts known. "It's some Italian media. It's not all Italian media. It's not about myself, I think, because this I can manage. It's more about the people of the team. To throw their name like this, I think it's just disrespectful for them, for the family. And we had the case last year with the chief of aero already. We had some other names this season. I don't know the target. I don't understand the target. Perhaps it's to give Surrey to the team, but in this case, I don't see the point. Perhaps it's for them the only way to exist. This is probably more the reason, but it's really hurting the team." Despite Vasseur's reaction, Ferrari's top brass had remained tight-lipped, an eerie silence that only served to fan the flames of gossip across social media and the press. But over the weekend at Silverstone, the silence was finally broken by none other than Ferrari CEO Benedetto Vigna, who stepped up to the mic and directly addressed the elephant in the paddock. The Italian executive stated, "It's July, we have time, we are discussing. We're with Fred, we just had lunch together." And when talking about his team's season so far, Vigna added, "We saw a great qualifying session. Let's say the cars are starting to become more competitive. In the end, teams grow by facing challenges and by facing them together. Because it's true, there is strength in unity." Positive words aside, the British Grand Prix turned out to be another roller coaster of a weekend for Ferrari, with the team once again falling short of a podium finish. Lewis Hamilton looked heartbreakingly close to finally securing his first top 3 result in red, only for a late race slip-up to put that dream on hold once more. Hamilton's podium hopes were dashed after a costly error post-pit stop left him wrestling with soft tyres on a damp track, robbing him of a shot at Nico Hülkenberg. Still, it was a more encouraging outing than teammate Charles Leclerc, whose struggles left Ferrari with more questions than answers. The Monegasque was devastated after a chaotic British Grand Prix, bluntly stating that Lewis Hamilton was the only positive for Ferrari on an otherwise forgettable weekend. After a strategy call that could only be described as disastrous, Leclerc's race ended in frustration. Ferrari continues to fall short of expectations, and according to Sky Sports' Ted Kravitz, the pressure isn't letting up on team boss Fred Vasseur, especially with the high-stakes Belgian Grand Prix at Spa looming. Speaking on Ted's notebook, Kravitz dissected Ferrari's underwhelming showing at Silverstone and didn't sugarcoat the struggles both drivers faced. Charles Leclerc pitted for slicks on the formation lap, and then had to pit to change back on lap 12. Lewis struggled in the first half, got passed by Russell, then fought back, got past Lance Stroll for 4th, chased Hülkenberg, but by the time his inters were finished, had to pit for new inters. Hülkenberg also pitted for new inters, and Nico Hülkenberg had an answer for everything that Lewis Hamilton could put his way today. Charles Leclerc, very unhappy, and you could argue that the pressure on Fred Vasseur is still there heading into Spa with the decisions that Ferrari made, which were not the right ones on Charles Leclerc's side of the garage. One surprising individual in Fred Vasseur's corner is Mercedes boss Toto Wolff, who's calling on the Tifosi to be patient and give Vasseur the time he needs to steer Ferrari back to glory. Speaking to Autosport during the Austrian Grand Prix, Wolff had a lot to say when asked about the importance of giving team principals enough runway to make real change, especially in light of the swirling speculation around the Frenchman's future. The long-serving Mercedes chief delivered a verbal defense of his Ferrari rival, urging fans and critics alike to trust the process. "In Formula One, you can't buy time, and you need to give senior leadership the time to get on top of things," Wolff said. Jean Todt, if I'm not wrong, joined the team Ferrari in 1993. They won the first championship in 2000. 8 years. That's how it goes. And it comes in cycles. Look at us. I'm not enjoying being in a phase that it's the third year in a row that we're not fighting for a championship. We're not useless. We have really good weekends. We're winning races. It's respectable at times. And when it's not good, nobody's questioning whether the top guy is doing a good job or not. Leave him the space. Let him do. Allow him to structure an organization that isn't going to grip from day one. Loic is there 6 months or 7 months. They need to just let them do. Wolff even went as far as to say that he would pick Vasseur as his replacement if need be. Fred is one of the best racing managers that I know. If I wasn't here, I would take Fred, he added. So, I respect him a lot. He's a great personality. He's a straightforward guy. He doesn't do politics and lies, and he knows what he's talking about. Toto Wolff's former star driver, Lewis Hamilton, didn't have a lot of good things to say after Sunday. Battling ever-changing conditions, Hamilton described his SF25 as very snappy after running wide at Copse, later calling it unbelievably tricky to handle, going so far as to label it the most difficult car he's ever driven at Silverstone. Despite matching his best Grand Prix finish since joining Ferrari, Hamilton made it clear that there are fundamental issues he'd like addressed for next year's car. Naturally, his remarks were brought up to Fred Vasseur after the race, prompting questions about where the Scuderia goes from here. I didn't have time to discuss with Lewis about the balance, but I think from the car, and he said this in the radio, very snappy. But it was not always true. I think it's very difficult to have a consistent car. It's where McLaren is much faster than everybody, because if you have a look, everybody is competitive. But a couple of laps, it's easier that we are competitive at the beginning of the stint, or at the end of the stint, or dependent on the tyre pressure, and soon as you are a bit aware of this, you are struggling a lot. But let me discuss with Lewis. Acknowledging the chaotic weather and the tough calls it demanded, Vasseur admitted that several teams up and down the grid would likely be left with regrets over how their races unfolded. Still, he was quick to shift the focus forward, emphasizing the importance of regrouping and preparing for the challenges ahead in the coming rounds. I'm not sure that the pure pace is the main issue today, Vasseur explained. What is true is that, on Charles at least, is that the race was done on lap 1. We made the call to pick for slicks, and then the main issue we had today was that we struggled a lot when we were in the dirty air to overtake, and then we are much faster after overtaking. It was a difficult weekend, difficult for the strategy today. I think everybody has tons of regrets, except Norris probably, and Nico Hülkenberg. But when we finish the race like this, you have always had the feeling that if I had pitted 1 lap before, 1 lap after, it would have been much better. But let's be focused on quali and the championship. Based on what we're seeing over at Ferrari, would you say that Frédéric Vasseur's job is in real danger? Or is this nothing more than a clever distraction from Lewis Hamilton having a lackluster season? Let's talk about it in the comments below. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't yet. Thanks for watching.